HeroQuest is the best game ever made, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
He's right. Do you know that?
Hello, people. Well,
it's a majestic beard.
Let's say that went well, Hasbro, didn't it, you cock-sucking...
Now, in their defense, it wasn't Monopoly.
Hey, fuck you.
I just can't believe it. I can't.
Oh, it was so good though. The fact it can only be bought on one continent, actually half of one continent, was enough to make up for the fact it wasn't Monopoly for me. Just knowing the negative waves that I would throw out there.
It's just...
Always with the negative waves.
So a short summary for anybody who missed it. Hasbro Avalon Hill today launched a website in where they proclaim to be re-releasing HeroQuest on a new platform. That's all fine and dandy, but it's not a pre-order page. It's their own in-house crowdfunding page. So you either choose the ordinary base game for $100 or you go in for the bigger pack with the extensions for $150. That still isn't that awful. The awful part is that those godless heathen motherfuckers have chosen to restrict it to the US only. You bellends. You doorknobs. You cunts.
Now, I think I knew the reason.
Enlighten us.
I think the reason is the same reason that there are going to be 2 He-Man games coming out very shortly. I don't think Hasbro have the rights for Europe, and I have a sneaking suspicion GW went, no, fuck yourselves.
Well, that would explain why they wouldn't send it to Europe, but there's a larger part of the rest of the world.
Yeah, but depending on how things split down with licensing, they're normally parcelled. So it's probably UK and Europe, and then rest of the world. ROTW. Return of the Wet Eye. The $1 million to make it particularly amuses me, and it amuses me for this reason, because I've got their fucking profits from last year here. Their operational profit was only $652 million. Their actual pre-tax profits at the end of the year left them with the equivalent of 4.58 billion sitting in their big slush fund. So they clearly need the money.
Obviously.
I think they've looked at Cool Minion and people like that doing like 3 million on shit Zombicide games and went, we can have some of this and we don't even have to throw any money in. We do the basic design work, we make these fuckers beg for us, and then we make a fortune, because the money they're not paying now is sitting gathering interest. But for the sake of $1 million in their fucking billions of money, it's not going to be a piss in the ocean, for fuck's sake. So it's amusing. No, yeah. Jim, no, stick away. I mean, the fact that Avalon Hill's involved is neither here nor there. It's the fact they've decided to crowdfund a game on their own. They've invented their own platform to crowdfund it, which is madness. Yeah. Because they don't need to. And then it's only available to US and Canada and US territories. Everybody outside of that can't get a copy. Or, let me rephrase that, everybody outside of that can't initially buy a copy from Hasbro, but will be paying through the nose on eBay when people who have bought it for $100 are selling it for $500.
Let me just say here that Hasbro isn't the only company doing in-house crowdfunding. There are some German companies doing the same, but they are not restricting it to anything. And I can see the point for some projects, like I just talked about in the pre-show, when they did something like the large Unicron model, which was bloody expensive. That isn't a wide market thing, but a $100 board game. WT the fucking F. I just can't.
Yeah, but the Hero Quest isn't being run by Avalon Hill. You don't go to the Avalon Hill website to get it. You go to HasbroPulse.com to get it.
Also,
which is
Avalon Hill has been gobbled up by Hasbro.
Oh, yeah, but they can't even use the excuse that they're having to, Avalon Hill are having to pay their own way and therefore have to crowdfund it. In many respects, though, this is probably really good for Games Workshop. No, seriously, it is, because if they release this worldwide and people jumped on it, like I imagine they will, they'll hit their funding goal just in the States. They'll do that. If it was worldwide and they wankered that funding goal of $1 million, Hasbro would be looking at GW going, lube yourself up, love, you're fucked. The fact that they're doing this and they're probably going to hit the funding goal, but they're not going to do like 3 or 4 million Reaper Bones / Cool Mini or not money. They'll probably look at it and go, oh, well, maybe this GW Hero Quest nonsense isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's not as many people after it as we thought. And then they'll just let GW just truckle on to their own heart's content.
Well, one can dream. But anyhow, as some of you might have known and realized, the nice bearded one in the middle, that's the Bard. He did a more or less famous video some time ago on why Hero Quest is the greatest game of all time, and if you're saying otherwise, you're wrong. When I saw this video of his, which we will discuss now in portion, I asked him via email if he would like to come onto the show tonight and discuss the now released things. Sadly, he couldn't make it, but he was very fond of the idea. So I think we just take his 6 predictions he made for the new Hero Quest and then do a short roundup of if they have met his predictions or not. Jerry, are you ready?
I'm ready, yes.
Prediction number 1.
Number 1. The elf will be depicted as female and as an archer.
So, female, yes. Archer, no. Simply put. That said,
It's an elf. How can you tell the difference?
Well, have you looked at the models? You can definitely see knockers on her.
Boob armor on an elf means nothing. They're very metrosexual.
Yeah, but they also do, as a bonus goal, gender swap minis for every class. And the extension boxes, the expansions also get female and male orcs. That's a simple... So he did predict this.
He was half right. I'm baffled though that of the 4, I mean, go back to Dungeons and Dragons and Gauntlet. Those are the 4 archetypes: fighter, dwarf, wizard, ranger. Hero Quest had them. Now it doesn't have a ranger. It's got fighter, dwarf fighter, mage. No fucker with a pointed stick and a string on their bow. It's very weird. Not sure why.
Maybe because it's easier to sculpt.
Well, that's true.
Well, let's venture on to the second prediction of his.
Second thing, the art will lean away from realism.
I think we can say he nailed that one very much. If you have seen his video and his explanations coming after this, they literally walked the path he has written out on there. So they took the graphics design and went for a more fantasy and not realism.
Was there much realism in Hero Quest though? Beyond the box art. And even then, the barbarian looks like he swallowed a sack of pineapples. It's just he's all the bumps.
Yes, but I think what he was referring to was the general gist of that Hero Quest was leaning towards realism, not being completely realistic. And that this realism, even though not only transcribed through the box art cover, would be gone and taken to another level of more fantasy, comic-y style.
I don't know if I'm with him on that one. I've seen, who'd you call him? Really Miniature Games. Ash said something earlier whenever they announced this, that they were moving away from the GW aesthetic, and loads of people were retweeting and fucking posting that. And I was looking at it going, they're not really, because HeroQuest didn't follow the GW aesthetic. And even these days, GW don't follow the GW aesthetic of 30 years ago. So I'm not seeing a massive difference. It's just, the new artist in there, but it's similar.
Well, the art is definitely different. It's more vibrant in color, especially on the cards. And the sculpts are, well, it's a totally different generation of sculpts. It's more like cartoony, modern day thingamajig. Well, let's just say he was right in being it will look different. And here is his third prediction.
Thing number 3, no dwarfs. No.
Yes, I think this was more or less a funny one on his behalf, because he was simply saying there would be one dwarf, but no dwarf army, and I couldn't see a dwarf army. I could see something like an orc army, and maybe a skeleton army, but definitely not a dwarf army.
They have added fishmen, which is exciting and new. That's the only non-GW thing they've done so far.
Yeah, and those fishmen looked a lot like something from World of Warcraft for my taste. Some water please. Well, maybe
they're not dwarves. Maybe they're people of diminished stature.
Could be. His fourth prediction. Less sword and sorcery, more high fantasy. I think we can't make a judgment on that now. Currently.
Does he explain what the fuck that means?
Yes, but I'd be hard pressed to recoup what he did.
Things like Ilmet and Lankar by Fritz. That's sword and sorcery. That's, there's a bit of magic. It's like Conan. It's mostly humans all around the place. HeroQuest had all the undead, all the fantasy trope races. HeroQuest is high fantasy. Already, the fact there are elves and dwarves in it makes it high fantasy, not sword and sorcery. I don't think he knows what they mean. Or he has a very different opinion of what sword and sorcery means.
That could very well be. I still haven't figured out where this lad is coming from. So maybe it's simply something that terminology is different in every region where you're
that's true.
letting it sit.
But generally the way it works is sword and sorcery is just that. It's more or less some sort of dodgy historical version, whether it's fake feudal knight.
So something like Conan would be more.
And Conan are both sword and sorcery because they are fantasy versions of our Earth, quote unquote, with they're people with magic.
Well,
high fantasy is once you start adding dragons and different races and different species. That's high fantasy.
Well, maybe he was talking about in the way that the original HeroQuest had one dwarf and one elf, and the rest was more or less semi-human, apart from the orcs. But I could be wrong.
Fritz is great. Yeah, well, no, I don't think we are. I think he's wrong. Anyway,
let's get on. His fifth prediction.
Thing 5, pre-named heroes. There's nothing.
I had a look at the site. I can't remember if there was pre-named hero cards. Let's look together if we can see this. Is this on screen? Yeah, a bit. There were some cards in here. This is the weird funding site.
There was a set of the heroes with names, but I think they're a stretch goal.
This site is horrible to navigate.
Which site are you on? There's
Nope.
dead
Wizard, Elf is the...
Yeah.
So it's...
So there's those, and then there's like a legendary version of those with sparklier clothes.
let's see if there's something coming up.
I can't work out how to navigate their piece of shit site. Yeah.
Bonus Heroes is still gender swap ones.
Oh my god.
Still no names. Water spell. No, I think you must have seen something different than...
There's so much shit going on these days. Who could tell? I certainly can't.
So let's just say he's wrong on that one, and that's a good one, because his reasoning for why pre-named characters are bad, I very much can agree on. Basically, you're saying the point is when you name characters, you are leaving potential for creativity of the player and immersion on the table. And you are not as much inclined to have some sort of connection with your player unless you have the ability to name him and make his story your own.
I see what you mean. I'm with you there. It's just Sir Ragnar is being included. No, there are named characters, named things, because Sir Ragnar's kicking around, and I think they've got stretch goals that they're going to unlock as well. So there's a completely different class, a warlock hero.
Yeah,
anyway,
Oriskany, just don't look at the feet. He's wearing sandals.
Best way.
Yeah, it's weird. For some weird reason, that was one of the first things that sprung to my mind, or my attention. So his sixth point was more or less a...
All right, look, whether or not any of these predictions or fears come to pass is almost irrelevant. What matters is if this mystery game is true to Hero Quest's legacy.
Well, is it true to Hero Quest's legacy, I ask you? I say, I couldn't tell. The game itself might be just fine. We have no way to look at the rules, so we can't say if the game itself changed in any way or form. The board game definitely has not. And yes, there are new miniatures, but that was to be expected if GW has not any say in it.
Even if GW were involved, we would see new miniatures simply because you've got 30 years of, 20 years of innovation.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past GW to make some sort of collector's edition with all metal miniatures from the same sculpts from 30 years ago, just to get some money out of it.
I wouldn't say no to that. Don't think they still have the sculpts anymore. Last I seen them, actually, the original metal sculpts were in Brian Ansell's cabinet, the Mike McVeigh painted ones. so they're in the middle of fuck nowhere in War Games Foundry's cabinet. It does look like it's exactly the same as far as the game itself goes. I don't think they've actually changed or innovated any of the rules. So who knows? There may be a bit more in time.
I think it's not a bad looking game. I'm just completely disappointed that they did it this way. And I'm a bit baffled that it's a game for age 14 and older.
Well, that's simply down to
Murica.
Health and safety regulations. If they released it in the UK today, it would be listed as 14 and up. Because if you list it as below 14, there's a whole extra raft of things you have to prove that it's not toxic to children from kids who put shit in their mouths. So GW do not sell any games that are licensed below 14.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's just a blanket thing. Attack dice, defense dice, body, mind. Yeah, their stat cards are exactly the same as they used to be as well. So movement says red dice. Oh, I assume that the pair of dice that you roll are just red in colour. So
red.
It's exact. The game itself hasn't changed in any way, shape, or form.
So let's just assume the rules haven't changed, and it's basically more or less the same game with simply a re-release.
Re-release with shinier, tiny fighting men. With them.
Yeah, and Taurus, I don't think we torn Mr. Bardic to pieces here, which was never my intent. I was simply wanting to see if the game that was to be released met his predictions in a way of I'm curious. And I may sound a bit bitter because Hasbro has fucked a lot of people.
But look on the bright side, Hogs of War is available worldwide.
You really like that little Kickstarter, don't you?
I love that Kickstarter. I backed it. I backed it because I can get an Alan Rickman hog.
Yes, it's...
So that's me, Quid's in there.
I don't
for less
know.
than the price of HeroQuest from America.
I'm going to take the next few days and ever have a gander at the or a tiny look at what HeroQuest is turning out to be costing on eBay now these days.
You have a copy. You don't need to look at what's costing on eBay, Mr. Man.
They are still
if you could buy it.
They're expansions.
If they actually sent it to Germany from Hasbro and you had to buy a second copy, you'd be more annoyed. Having finally got your hands on a version, and it's like, oh, they've just released a new one.
No, because one is to cherish and love and paint, and the other is to play. Simple as that. Yeah. So, what was I going to say? I've looked at eBay, and currently in Germany there are 20 plus sets of HeroQuest going for €300 and up. So
I still say that those will be taken down and reposted at a higher value.
Could be.
Why not? Fuck it. If somebody manages to get a copy from the States to the UK, you're going to have to add VAT on that. So that 120 right off the bat, plus your postage, plus tax.
Well,
or import duty rather. So it's going to be close to 200 quid just to get it.
All I need to do is ask my wife to ask her uncle to buy it and to bring it over in his hand carriage on Christmas.
That's fine for you. All the rest.
Yes, that's even more the reason why I'm so mad, because I'm betting quite a bit confidence that there are more people really annoyed that they can't get hold of it. Okay. Yes, now rant over, I think. For now.
They're almost halfway to their million target.
Yeah.
In 3 hours.
And Dutch, I've seen your sprinkling of King of War Armada, you sod.
If it's any help, Dutch, my copy should be arriving either Thursday or Friday.
Well, but
I'll just sit here and stroke myself with the mantic goblins, or maybe I'll just get the mantic ratkin that haven't been seen anywhere yet.
Who are you teasing now, Dutch or Panzer Kaputt?
What? Just anybody who gets annoyed by it, to be honest.
But
screws make remarkably good combs.
Just to bring in this darkness that is HeroQuest Hasbro USA a faint little light from the far reaches of yesteryear. There was a Kickstarter, Twisting Catacombs Lichmeyer Dungeon by what they call Zealot Miniatures. Yes, now you will ask, what is a Kickstarter from the past to me if there is no back order? Because these are lovely sculpts by Boris to be used in HeroQuest. Well, Jerry, tell them, why is this an important Kickstarter?
Kickstarter is important. We looked at this weeks/months ago. I've been looking at it on and off for some time, and then earlier on today, we've only got 20 of the Kickstarters left to ship, so we'll be putting it live on the website for people who weren't Kickstarter backers to order from tomorrow. And then 3 hours later, Hasbro USA went, fuck everybody who isn't American. So I imagine Zealot are probably going to get hit by a few people. They are properly nice, bespoke, expensive resins, but Boris is a cheeky fucker.
And you can really tell those are nicely sculpted. The amount of detail on those is insane.
Now, I do need to check. I know when they were originally offered via the medium of Kickstarter, there were 3 versions. You could get metal, you could get resin, or you could get premium resin.
There was a comparison here down. Standard resin, white metal, premium resin.
Standard resin apparently sucks the sweat off a dead man's balls. Now, I have no idea what that means, but it doesn't sound complimentary. So if they do offer options and you are interested in them, stay away from standard resin. Either get the metal or spring for the premium resin, both of which, by all accounts, are great. But somebody I know has painted the standard resin and said it was like Aero. It was full of bubbles. So, just throwing that one out there.
Just look at these sculpts. These are lovely, aren't they?
Oh no, he's a terrible bastard, isn't he?
Have
you seen he's doing goblins at the moment for Westphalia, and he's done one that looks like Telly Savalas. Looks great. I'm going, I can't
Telly Savalas goblin.
Every time we look at it, I go, it's fucking Telly Savalas, and nobody else was saying it. And then I'm going, am I the only one seeing Telly Savalas? And then put a picture of him up smiling, and it just looks like him. It's fucking fantastic.
Did you happen to have a link to that?
It's Telly Savalas goblin. It'll be via face page. That's the only problem. I could probably fire it into Discord for you.
And then by all means.
Talk amongst yourselves while I dig this one out then, kids.
Oh, this is...
Yeah. How fragile are they? It depends. I mean, if it's in the standard resin, if it's in resin, it's brittle-ish. If it's in metal, you're grand. They should stand to standard wear and tear. I have a lot of floaty, resiny stuff kicking around that can take a bit of a kicking, so it's not particularly bad. So I'm going to go copy that image and send that image to the pun dancer. It lives there. And I'm also going to send a picture of Telly Savalas that I couldn't not think about, which is there. And you tell me, is that or is that not Telly Savalas?
Chad, can you see this?
Oh, if you click on them, they'll look big. A smile. Look at the fucking smile. He's even got the little tooth that Telly has that sort of pointed and sort of points in slightly, just at the really high gum line.
Oh, that's just
it's
lovely.
Fucking amazing.
He needs a coat. He needs a trench coat and a hat.
Lollipop. And away he goes.
Oh yes, the lollipop. I almost forgot that. Great. That's nice. That's very nice. So, from here on now, where do we go?
Where do we go? That's a good question.
We could just venture on and do random OTT stuff.
We could do random. That sounds like a good plan.
If the project
Full disclosure, I didn't go near the project system today because I was busy.
What we could start with your plug from the beginning for the Hogs of War.
Hogs of War, don't worry, I'll be plugging that like a motherfucker, because the more people who stretch my goals means more toys I will get.
What is Lena's opinion on other people stretching your holes?
Any holes a goal, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so you've heard it here first.
Very accommodating in that respect. You do see a hex grid, Jim. Did you ever play Hogs of War back in the mists of time?
In the good PC games days.
Yeah, but PC/PlayStation 1, it was a 3D version of a World War I pig-based 3D version of Worms. You and your 4-man team of pigs got dropped in and then had to kill up the other people through grenades and other shit. What they've done is they've taken that concept and made a hex grid strategy-based pig game on it, and it's fucking magical, because you've got 3 main phases of the game, right? So the first phase is your base. Your base is a hex, on the map, regardless of whether you're playing like King of the Hill or Capture the Flag or just a death match, whatever it is. And it can be played solo, 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player, death match or teams. You can play all sorts of shit. But you have a little board off to the side, a little square board, where every turn you build a building. So you have like a real-time strategy build thing going on where you've got your base and you're going, right, I'm going to build an airstrip next. And then I'm going to build like some swill refinery pumps and stuff, which is your mechanic to generate your buildings and get your resources and that sort of shit. And they're all different shapes like Tetris. So you have to fit all of those bits into your little base that you build over time. So that's phase 1. So you do that, you build your machinery. Then phase 2 is the air phase, and it's kind of like Blue Max or X-Wing for people who've played X-Wing, where everybody sorts out any airships or biplanes they have, what they're going to do. So whether you're going to go fast or slow, and depending on how quick you're going, limits how many turns you can make. And then they all reveal them at the same time, and the lowest initiative moves first. But then that also means that they should last. And if you go faster,
that's basically turn-based like X-Wing.
yeah, except Blue Max did it like 30 years before X-Wing was a spark and a Bookman's ballback. Anyway, so you've got this. So you've got like 2 mini games. You've got like a little base building strategy mini game. Then you've got your little X-Wing fighter game. And if your biplanes go too slow or too fast, they stall, which is just fucking great. So you've got to, biplanes are shit. You build airships. If you get the airfield to launch biplanes, you have to get like another bit before you can launch airships. And the airships you have to build, you need a nose and a tail and a central section, and then you can launch them. But you can have as many central sections as you want to build. So if you want to spend time going, I'm going to have a bomb bay, another bomb bay, fucking third bomb bay, cannons, more cannon, build like the Hindenburg of blimps you can. It's going to take you ages before it gets in the air, but when it gets in the air, shit, it's going to do some damage because it just puckles around. So you've got these, that's your first 2 phases, and then after that you're into your hog-based bit, and you've got the various, you used to have like talent trees for the hogs and Hogs of War, where you could have like a sapper or a bombardier or a medic, and they could like level up. And you've got the same sort of thing here. There's like 5 or 6 different types of soldier, and you choose which ones to build. So your little base is like churning out bombardiers, and then you might get like an upgrade thing that allows you to equip them with Molotov cocktails. And then right now they've got Molotov cocktails, but you can only have 2 upgrades per soldier type, and they're permanent. So you can't go, I'm going to put this on now, and then later on go, shit, I should have put something else. It's just, fuck it, it's stuck there. And then after that, you do your ground phase where you're just running about and shooting things, or you've got your tank out. The tanks are great. They've only got 1 at the moment. I don't know if they're going to expand it, but I like the only having 1 because World War I, there weren't many tanks about. But action points are equal to the hit points of the tank. So like little infantry have got like 2 action points. They move and shoot, move, capture a flag and shoot, whatever it is. Tanks have like 5 or 6 action points, but that's their hit points. And every time you lose a hit point, their action points go down. So they start off being fucking rock hard because they're tanks, and then after somebody's shoved a few Molotov cocktails up their backsides, they start to get a bit rickety and aren't quite doing as well, and then eventually they just go away. And that, in a nutshell, is Hogs of War.
It's very, very tempting.
It is. Oh, you should get it, because I want more stuff.
I'm hard pressed, especially because
Dutch, no, it's not called Speckle Jim. And I was fucking at them earlier, going, "You've got Lord Flashheart there, who's available only today," because Rick Mail voiced all the voices in the original Hogs of War computer game, and he's not with us anymore. But they've included Flashheart. But then they have the pigeon miniature, and I'm going, "Why is he not called like Spotted James? You fucks!" Things we didn't think of it. So fucking put it in there.
And I think. For the first time in a long time, the addition of the word Deluxe Edition is actually doing something to improve the game, not only to make more game. You get a neoprene mat, and you get 3D terrain.
Yeah. So in the standard game, for 30 quid more, you get a mat, you get Speckle Jim, and the metal token just shows who has initiative. And then it changes the cardboard tokens to little 3D plastic versions for the pillboxes and the guns and minefields and all the other things you can deploy to protect your base from the terrible sauerkrauts or the trotters. Or weirdly, there are two that aren't in there: the garlic grunts and the sushi swine. So the Japs and the French aren't in there. Maybe they'll be added as an expansion. I don't think they will though, because they've got like 4 and it's fairly full. Just saying. Anybody unfortunate enough to watch The Weekender will probably have to listen to this again. There's no way this isn't going in the fucking Weekender. No fucking way.
Well, it's still.
I was filming an interview at 1 o'clock and it was like, how quickly can I get this bastard off Zoom so I can? Because the thing went live at 1. It's like Portuguese.
It's for 60 more hours. It's on early bird. Where
yeah. I mean, the only thing the early bird is getting you, the only thing, is Lord Flashheart, the Rick Mail pig. So if you're not a big Rick Mail / Blackadder fan, you probably can get away with not worrying about it. Because, it's nice. It's not going to be a game changer.
So that isn't a mini that's deluxe edition, but it's only for pre-order?
No, it's literally just this is something they've done that's nice. The fact they've gone, here is a special Lord Flashheart pig, that's the first 24 hours, and that's it. Everything else is fine. Everything else stays the same. So
even the price won't change?
No, the price stays the same. So it's not like these Kickstarters where if you're not in the first 24 hours, it jumps up by 50 quid or whatever. It's just, it'll still be that. You're just going to lose the Flashheart pig. So bottom and filthy rich and cat flap.
Well,
which is a deep cut. Dangerous Brothers deep, but
he's tempting us again, brothers and sisters. Let's be strong. Let's go over some projects.
Yes, let's have a look at projects. What we're going to look at.
Well,
I'm curious now.
Does anybody have a favorite?
Hasbro's just liked my comment on their page. Well, not Hasbro, sorry, the other people, sellers. Where I went, fantastic news. Hasbro have just fucked over everybody outside the USA. Can't wait to get some of those. Anyway, has anybody got a favourite? I want to see Vikings for a Friend.
Well, then we go there.
Because that, I'm pretty sure that's Gaz. Gaz started painting these for Warren, like, I'm going to say 5 years ago. And Gaz normally sits there like a boot camp and in 3 days knocks out a whole army beautifully. But for this, he seems to have channeled his inner Jerry and has just like really gone slow. Tauros, there were several HeroQuest projects because I got the links for them all.
Oh,
thinking I was going to be cheeky.
It's the last miniature for Warren.
Yeah, you go say.
So there could be a parcel inbound then?
It's possible. It is certainly possible. Although I will say I know Warren has several hassle-free miniatures sitting on a shelf that need painted, so they may go back the other way. No good deed goes unpunished, as they say in France.
Well, which reminds me, there is a very, very nice German curse I usually reserve for special occasions like Hasbro did. And I haven't uttered it yet.
Right. Oh, you should go with that.
Sit down, relax. Whoever thought of this would be a good idea to restrict it to the US? Möge dich der Blitz beim Scheißen erschlagen. Translation: May lightning strike you while you're taking a dump.
Oh, that's nice. Very poetic.
Yes,
very
I think
evocative.
So. I like to imagine.
There's Gaz. Hello, Gaz.
I like to imagine someone sitting on an outhouse toilet getting struck by lightning. Getting blasted to smithereens. Just for the sheer fun of it.
Very nice.
Did Gaz sneak in?
Yep.
Hello, Gaz.
We mentioned his name 3 times, so he appeared.
Well, at least...
hang on a minute. Mech. Just waiting to see. I should have done that before we did the Hogs of War thing. I've been poking him all day. Just get Hogs of War and go, get Hogs of War, my wife won't divorce me. She'll fucking kill me.
Well, At least she won't divorce him.
Yeah, that's true.
But why would she kill him when he brings home some bacon?
Are all of these hassle-free guys?
Or were there a lot of hassle to do? Pardon the pun.
I almost like that model, but not for Druss. He's too well armoured. Druss was never that well armoured and never wore a cloak in the books. It's always annoyed me I can't get a nice Druss model. If I had 600 spare quid, I'd throw it at Boris and just go, just fucking give me Druss, man.
Well, maybe we should do a Christmas collection then and get yourself a gift card from Boris saying, good voucher for one mini 28mm scale.
We should be so lucky.
Talking about miniature scale.
I'm not getting myself a Snagger. Throughout my long life, I've seen 2 different companies sell Snagger. And at no point have I gone, I can afford to do that. So no.
As Ben is not there curating your list of Kickstarters on the page, let me get back to my saved projects.
If you just, while you're there, if you just hit back this project, just scroll down.
Not yet.
No.
Maybe later.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
the axe
there
is
was-
great. The axe is spot on. The faces are grand. It's just the body in between.
I fell in love a bit with these little buggers.
The 6 mils. They're great, aren't they?
They are lovely. They are so lovely. Just look at them. This tiny halflings. So tiny.
I think No, they're on the Kickstarter page on the site because I remember adding them to it.
Yeah, you did, and that was the. I was looking for the Kickstarter in the Kickstarter thing because I didn't know if Ben already had seen it, and then I thought to myself, if Ben would have seen this, I'm quite sure he would have mentioned it at some point. Who wants to play 15mm? Go 6mm halflings.
I don't think they're big, Pete. I think the camera's just very close.
Close? Far away.
Definitely.
Hello,
Yeah, guys, the Legend rights have been out since David Gemmell was still alive when the Legend rights went out there. So, but then sometimes people buy the rights just to stop anybody else making them. I imagine with Amazon and the like doing things like Wheel of Time and shit like that, if they're still holding the rights, whoever it is, they may revisit them. I mean, Lord of the Rings was great. That other thing, Game of Thrones, did well. If Wheel of Time and the Lord of the Rings TV series both do well, I think you could see Gemmell stuff hitting either TV or film, simply because people will be looking for another fantasy-esque, or in this case, sword and sorcery, the Bard, style, show.
Chat, pick a random number from 1 to 9 to get another project. Otherwise,
Warcock's Eternal Champion. That'd be good.
7. That's a Dutch clearly needs to get his numbers straight.
42 spot on.
So here we have those totally impractical Primaris Space Marine bikes being redone by Dane.
I was looking at this project earlier, actually. I say I didn't go through the projects. About an hour before the show, it was like, fuck, I should look at the projects. And then Pundancer went, don't bother. Our viewers aren't worth it. Don't stress yourself. And I went, fair enough, mate. But this was one I looked at before I stopped. So yeah, it's interesting because he's decided to go. So don't distract me. Trying to keep us on target here. He's decided to go old Wolfie with his conversions. So breaking out the green stuff. He still hasn't done anything to do with his bike so they can actually cross a speed bump. But he's getting there.
I'm still having that on my plate, and I think I'm going to do that just when the Rebel things are painted up before I do anything else, because it really annoys me more than I like to admit. And I think my plan can work.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, sure. Just tell somebody on the internet you're going to do it, and then half a dozen people will race to do it before you, and then you'll be able to see what works and what doesn't.
Probably true.
Because basing's quite nice, so it's interesting. Do
It's
the
a lot of
basing first,
cork.
and then start the conversions afterwards.
These shields, are they aftermarket or are they
Yeah.
Forge World?
There are shields and heads that I think are both Skybore or Skybore, I think possibly. They're aftermarket resins anyway, but
Heads from Spellcrow
are they Forge World? Forge World do that.
and
Wow.
Spellcrow.
Oh, there you go. Spellcrow is a delightful little company I've been looking at recently. They have a couple of very good games you can get for free off their website as well.
Free is always good.
Fantasy, 28mm and a small scale, like a 10. Well, they're working on a 10mm fantasy version at the moment. The full rulebook's online in multiple languages, and it's fucking a bugger to find. Because I emailed them and went, "That's a really nice game. Why can nobody find that you're doing it for free? Have you thought about putting it on your front page, maybe in big fucking letters?" So.
Oh, let's see. Dystopian Wars.
Dystopian Wars. Choo choo. I'm about. This is about to get resurrected again by War Cradle, I think, who own every game that's gone under recently.
Well, it's an easy way to make money. Just buy everything that's not in production and see which crowd is screaming loudest.
Well, they bought Spartan Games and then shelved everything and focused on like one game while everybody else was sitting there going, "What about my game, you fucks?" So they're starting to go back through them again. But they combined Wild West Exodus with the 28mm Dystopian Wars game. I can't remember what it was called. And I imagine they're probably going to do something similar with the Fleet game, where they're going to shoehorn the classic Dystopian Wars together to make one sort of cohesive world/universe where you've got all your Wild West nonsense plus all your floating shit around the Arctic.
He has done a really stunning job of painting these. I'm not too happy with these weird underwater bases, but I think those are part of the game.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. What was it somebody said about the Mantic pictures where they had the white lines for the wake marker and it looked like they made out of like sand or salt? I think somebody in our Discord referred to them as being the final or the Fantasy Flight Games.
Yes, I think that was some
Limburger?
dude from Limburgers.
Yeah.
Some Dutch dude.
Corners are great. It means you can actually measure things when you're playing. Round bases are the worst.
True that.
There's a game, Jim, you might have seen this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no other fucker outside of the US has seen it. There's a naval game based on World War One called Leviathan. I think it's an American and it's a very small little company about World War One fleet games. And it looks fantastic, but I need to find out more about it.
In the meantime, we will jump back to the project page and I will close my eyes. No, I will not, and I just will see what's there. What piques my interest?
You see what piques your interest while I have a nosy round here.
You
Heart of Leviathan, it's called by Image Studios. And the miniatures are quite nice, and the system itself looks interesting. It's a bit... Yes, Heart of Leviathan, that's the one. That's them. I'm curious to see how that runs out at some point.
It's
I'm not big into my boating, but...
it's not on the Beast
No,
of
it's
Wars
not.
page.
No, I stumbled across it a couple of weeks ago. I stumbled across it a couple of months ago, and then about 2 weeks ago, I found it again, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah!" Because he was just talking about shipping to Kickstarter backers at that stage. But there's a dashboard a la, I don't know, X-Wing are not the people who came up with this, but there is a dashboard where you set your speed and course heading and shit like that on it. But the fact that it's a World War One naval game intrigued me, and it looks like it's set at a sort of a halfway house between full-on, you need to know everything about naval warfare in World War One, and you need to know nothing. It seems like they've tried to bridge that gap to introduce people to it.
Looks interesting.
Such thing works, Steve, if there's anything on the site for it. But yeah, so the dashboard is interesting because you set, like X-Wing or like those other games.
Ship models supplied, unassembled, assembly and painting required.
Yeah, it's a game. I'm all for that. But I'm curious as to how it goes. Because that there looks like you could just play it without the ship models.
Yeah,
you could
just the tokens.
Just the tokens. And then the ship models are there for people who want to waste their life painting decks on a tiny ship.
And maybe do some rigging.
Oh yeah, I'd rig those.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, look at me, I'm done now. But yeah, I'm just wondering if you'd heard anything, because I hadn't heard anything about it beyond stumbling across it a couple of times on Facebook group. Sort of, it's sealed under the radar, so to speak.
I wonder, did we look at Space 671812?
No, because he's been playing games.
Yes, he's playing and painting Blood Bowl. And a mixture of old minis and new minis.
Yes, new old minis.
Which I like very much, because the project isn't that long. Just look at those nice dwarf and orc boys.
Classic. And the mighty Zug in the middle there.
Yes.
Anytime somebody needs a 4-dice strength check punched in the face, call on the Zug.
Through the face into the ground. Do not collect $400.
She'll have to reach out and see what the Leviathan's doing. But yes, the Graft Spee here is doing very nice work with his Tiny Fighting Blood Bowl team. There's a classic team right there. Look at that. The other half of the plastic set. And
now he's painting the modern set.
Yeah, the modern Skaven. Interested that he played it solo.
Skaven? Do you need those?
I'm pretty sure if you go up, he's got the Skaven there as well. Are they not the Skaven, the very first sort of entries that he's done?
No, those are goblins.
No, not the ones you're on.
I think they are still...
I could open the site myself, but I can't be arsed.
No, all goblins.
All goblins? Oh,
they are brown for a change, but...
Crying shame, kind of everything. I'm having to wait on him opening pictures, you see.
It's
his
because
cutting mat was less messy than my cutting mat.
Also, I'm not sharing links, that's why nobody's seeing anything besides me. But his pictures are in glorious Jerry focus.
Nothing wrong with that focus.
No, not at all.
Is there anything you can't see on that? Even if you look at the dice, you'll be able to see what the dice is. I don't know why people...
look at that! He didn't paint his measuring sticky thing.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, shame.
I have a question for the group, though. How would you play? I mean, playing a war game against yourself, playing it solo, is doable. But a sports game just seems weird.
Well, I think it's the same like playing chess with yourself.
Yeah, people who play chess with themselves are they're at least unless you're Cavatori style. It's just peculiar because I mean in a war game you put in fog and friction, you put in stuff where you're not getting to activate every turn. You don't really have that in Blood Bowl. Everybody gets to activate until you screw up a roll.
I think getting drunk is a good alternative, as Soap Dodges suggests.
Oh, that works. That
would work.
That is very true. But how would that be different from any workday for me?
Well, you would actually play a game.
Oh, that's true.
And with real miniatures and not in some weird simulator thingamajig.
Sorry.
Yes, I know.
Thankfully, I haven't had to go near a tabletop simulator in a long time.
Let's hope that these times are long gone soon enough.
I imagine they won't be. I imagine we'll be looking at it for some time to come.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine for what they are and for people who like to use them, but I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole if I can help it. Any reason?
Oh, well, you'd be correct. Somebody is playing the Age of Glorantha.
The Age of what? Who?
Glorantha. Oh, it's Elysium. I've not seen him in a while. We should have a look at that. The link in the chat so everybody else can watch it, even if you don't find it.
Oh, then I'm just taking the link you've got.
Glorantha is RuneQuest, so it works on the glorious system that is Cock. Although I suppose technically Cock works on the system that is RuneQuest, but we'll skip that. Well, it's interesting.
We've got a flying cow.
You know, it's that type of town, so to speak. It does have a flying cow though. He's used an old Castor Bull Taurus.
And Lord of Change Zinch wings.
Yeah,
that's a mouthful.
I have a set of those wings. I have that bull as well. I could do that. I won't. It would mean opening the boxes, not too lazy.
Also, opening the boxes would devaluate them.
Oh, hey, you know. These things are set to try us. It's interesting. Glorantha is a fantasy setting that's kind of weird. In that you've got people like there's a lot going on. It's not quite Rollmaster heavy and everything's got a table, but, you know, you come up against some lunars and then you're having to check to see whether or not you're behind the moon line and what phase of the moon it is, and gods are real, and sometimes they get annoyed when people are fucking with their people. And
what am I looking at? A fighting chicken, a female fighter fighting, and a hunky-dory dude with a polar bear. What? Yeah.
The berserker there is probably what you call him, Humac. There's a god called Humac who's a complete fucker, and all of his worshippers are mad bastard fighters, and not somebody you want to piss off. So Humac's probably there. Oh, look at that! There's a whole batch of Keltos / Hassle-free miniatures being used as well.
Well, usually you don't want to piss off in Berserker anyway, but the
dragon snails are bastards.
Fighting duck is weird.
No, that's not going to, you know, don't aggravate them. That's all I'm going to say. We found a Viking longship in the middle of fuck nowhere coming back from something, climbed on board, and then we couldn't get off it again, and it just soaked our magic points. I was like, you have to make this roll, and it's like, none of us made it. We just all died there in that boat. It was fucking brutal. It's old school, you know. Don't do anything ever, because if you do, you're fucking dead. That is RuneQuest in a nutshell.
This skinny dude reminds me awfully of the dark wizard from the movie Fire and Ice.
Oh, yeah.
He's the same skinny type.
He is. He's very Iggy Pop. Like, if he had his cock out, we'd know it's definitely Iggy Pop.
Or if he had his cock out, it could be one of the Red Hot Chili Peppers too.
That is true. It could be that. If you paint his codpiece as see-through, it's just a big snake curled up in there, and that could also be Iggy. Iggy, who once appeared on the BBC, and he was told he was not to get his knob out, so he appeared on stage wearing see-through PVC trousers. And then at the end, he got his knob out anyway. As the camera, just at the end of the song, he just whipped it out right at the very end. Camera desperately panning away. Sir Igster of Pop, what a guy.
So
look, there's that fucking, don't get on that boat. Just saying, while I see it there, don't get on it.
Why is the duck's head on the boat?
Why not? It's Glorantha. You just, you know, it's best not to question. There will be a reason. Some really nice stuff in that. Just the whole
it's
madness behind it.
To quote something from Star Wars, it's an older project, but it checks out.
Yeah.
Some lovely painted thing.
Yeah. Elysium's been hiding for a while. I was thinking I hadn't seen him in some time. Whenever last we were talking about the toilet, and I was trying to remember who had done a cyberpunk diorama with a toilet in it. You rarely see a ceramic toilet. And it was Elysium was the person I was thinking of, but could I remember his name? Could I fuck? And apparently he's been hiding somewhere.
Also, talking about Cyberpunk, Blinky, we don't tell you to do anything. It's
That is
all
true.
in your mind. You are imagining things. We are simply stating wishes and dreams. If those ideas are sticking in your brain and nagging you at night, it's not our fault, is it?
I'll go one step further. Who's Blinky? Never heard of him. Don't know what he looks like. Nothing to do with me, Governor.
Have you ever seen him?
No. I mean, I've never seen Batman either. Is Blinky Batman?
Could be. Could very well be. Oh, and in that case, best wishes to his wife to get well soon.
Oh, sick and bad Noel.
She has, I don't know if you've read it, she slipped and broke her hip.
Ooh, no, I haven't.
So that's why he's a bit on the low side currently. So guys, last chance. Anyone wishes to spread disease? Show a project. Otherwise, I'm going to start to rant again.
Trying to avoid Path of Conquest things because I have no doubt we'll be seeing them for some time.
Mercian Knights is
See,
finally somebody with taste.
telling you, Path of Conquest.
It's Bob's.
Hello, Kate.
Oh, he's shouting at Warren. Why is he shouting at Warren?
Don't know. He shouts at me on a Sunday. I don't pay attention to my messages on Sunday. I like to relax. On a Monday, I look at it and go, unlucky Bob.
Well, he has done some nice painting
He
here.
has. His rant this week was these fantasy miniatures don't look like they're from a cohesive period in history. Some of these have got very much 14th century, 13th century armour, and other ones look like they're more late 15th. And I looked at that and I went, I'm not answering that question. It's a fucking fantasy game, Bob. Wind your neck in, son, as they say in France.
Also, those older...
It does look like he got over it, mind you, and painted them.
Also, the older armor is always a family heirloom that is handed down. Simply as that.
Or just, the pores.
Yes.
Like the modern Tory party, it doesn't matter what the pores are wearing or how well they survive. They are the pores, after all. Those shields are thick.
Yes.
They are not the only thing that is thick. Having started to put together stuff for mine, I know Warren told me a story, or told just a story in general, about how they were originally going to do them 28mm, and then the first concept, or the first test cast, they'd made them too big. So instead of being, hang on a second, let me just, instead of being a 28mm, let me see a 28mm, we don't need to be in focus. So instead of being 28, they were fucking amazingly big. And they went, oh, amazingly big looks great, we'll just go with it. And I have no problem with that, except the contact points on the sprues in some places are thick as fuck. It's like trying to cut through a tree trunk.
So you're
Whereas
not...
I imagine if it had been actually tooled at 28mm, those points would be very thin and easy to snip. But because everything's like twice or three times the size it should be, it's like cutting a tree branch.
So now you're needing something like a bandsaw.
I've got loads of. I just go through a dose of scalpel blades on a regular basis, but that's why I buy them in boxes of 500 at a time, because I like replacing scalpel blades.
Sounds reasonable.
No, the contact points, Paul, are super thick. And I literally think it's that. I think the fact that they had them tooled too big and then went, oh, that looks good, we're going to keep that size, and then they didn't think to retool the connection points on the sprue gates.
Or maybe they couldn't afford retooling and just thought to themselves, so that we ship it.
I haven't noticed too bad mold lines on mine. Although, at the same time, I will say, I looked at this and went, it's a studio army. I won't be keeping it afterwards, so I'm not as worried about the mold lines. But the spires have quite a lot of bandages and shit going on. But the mold lines aren't egregious on them. I think Steve was saying he's seen quite bad mold lines on them as well on one of John's videos. But John, like Justin, mold lines happen to other people. Just goes ahead and slaps paint on them. Doesn't care. I can't. I would fucking top myself if I put an army on the tabletop with bad mold lines. Although I did realise you could do this. Do like because I was looking at them going, these big fuckers here in my samurai spires army, going, they're like sumo. So let's have one guy leaning on his front fist ready to ruffle stomp somebody. So now I just need to. And then I spent like 2-3 days researching samurai armor and shit, trying to work out how I'm going to paint them. The simple thing to do would be paint them like they've painted them, spray everything bone, wash it in brown, add a blue with ink and walk away. And not as I'm doing, going, they're kind of like insects. So if I do it like gloss black and then like do like color flip paint on the armor, it would be like kind of like an insect, but at the same time like a really high gloss lacquered samurai armor. And then I can do like all these cool kind of,
and this children is how never to finish a project.
Fucking in too deep. Shield design's gorgeous on those. It is. I don't know where he's got them from. They're clearly transfers because you can see the outline. I don't know whether he's printed them himself or got them off of somebody. So, yeah.
I seem to recall I've seen those before somewhere. I couldn't tell you where, but I think those are off the shelf.
I imagine it's some sort of eagle getting a blowjob and it's got its wings covering the hooker. That's why they're round the front.
You remember my search for a troll, don't you? For my Blood Bowl team.
Yes. Oh, you should see the one I spotted the other day. It's part of a £50 set. You should definitely get one anyway, though.
Well, I've got myself one.
Yes.
That's the one from the Goblins Guild. And I now know why it's in metal and not in resin, because they have actually answered on my Instagram. Those were Kickstarter leftovers.
Instagram. Is that a thing that kids do? Instagram. It does look nice though.
Yeah, it's metal. It's fucking heavy. There are some mold lines and some larger gaps to be filled, but other than that, it's a real nice model. And I just found a mold line I've skipped. I missed. This needs to be remedied right now.
Yeah, live. You should fix that while fix that while we sit here. Could be Raven Wing. That would make a lot of sense. Touch. Because the Dark Angels do enjoy getting blowjobs.
That would also explain why they look so familiar.
Oh.
Oh, this looks much better now. Yes.
I don't think they like to comment on the blowjob thing anymore, to be fair. That's probably been retconned out.
So
their dark secret was they love the cock.
Well, there can't be a darker secret than that, can it? Something like, maybe doing magic, recreating space marines, enhancing them with unholy...
Yeah, none of that. Swallowing something. Gas, certainly, yeah.
What is that link you have posted there? Is that
no,
I shouldn't be looking at
that.
No,
you definitely shouldn't look, no.
Well, then I shouldn't definitely not be looking at this. Oh, you sodding bastard.
Oh. She's a pricey old dear, mind you.
I can see that, yes.
But it is delightful. And look, it's even throwing something like what they do in Blood Bowl.
Just wait a second. 85 millimeters. Just comparing here. Holy fuck.
Yep.
It's nearly twice the height. I think.
To be fair, it's probably twice the price, though.
It's exactly twice the price.
There you go. See, so, omelette eggs.
You know what really would look good on the base of that troll?
Dead babies.
6 millimeter halflings.
Oh, yes.
Suddenly you have a more than gigantic troll throwing a rock at a halfling army.
To be fair, that's not the most expensive troll they do. if you go back, does it have the link to Trolls? Can you just click
Gigantic
back one
Trolls?
section? Excellent. So Gigantic Trolls, and then look, there's a £40 one who's throwing a goblin on a glider. Look at it! Look at it! Fucking amazing. Whee!
And look how happy he is, the little
He's
goblin.
happy. Why would you not be happy? There's like a £50 set that's got like 5 goblin hang gliders being fired off, and like a couple of goblins on the ground with like bellows keeping them aloft, and one of them is dropping his teddy bear. There's the one dropping his teddy bear. poor bastard. I know, Teddy, no. There's Teddy's safety first. Teddy's got his flying goggles on.
This is the kind of humor I'm missing at Games Workshop currently. Seriously.
They looked at humour, and then the accountants budgeted for humour and realised it wasn't cost effective, so they removed humour from their games.
But humor doesn't cost anything. It's literally free.
Yeah. Good old Kev, Goblin Master.
I love him. So
Oh,
shiny.
they're delightful.
The only thing that would nag me is that you can't make the Goblin Glider fly that way that they do it with Photoshop.
Hey, perspex rods. Invisible string hanging out from your ceiling.
And then it drops and you're getting hit in the head. Great idea.
Okay, right. Good point. Have a child, right? No, hear me out. Get one of those mobiles for the child. Remove all those fucking stars and moons and shit off it. Replace it with goblin gliders. Then if it does fall off, it's not hitting you on the head.
Well, I meet
And
all
you could
those.
end up with a baby with an eye patch.
I meet all those expectations. What is it called? I'm lost. Totally fucked. I have all of those, except the baby isn't a baby anymore.
Pirate babies are tight.
Oh god, the only word she would learn was "arr."
Yarr.
Here be treasure.
What's a pirate's favourite letter?
I don't know. Tell me.
It do be the sea. See, all you people thought it was R. Wrong. Wrong. Let's have a look at this. Don't mute me.
I'm never going to mute him. Yes, I have the power, but I shall not use it. I shall only use it for good.
Oh my god. Goosebumps. Let's have a look at these tiny fighting men. He's been painted by somebody who's been painting for 5 years now. He's not doing badly, by all accounts.
So he started 5 years ago, or
I don't know. Not long, because I remember talking recently
brushstroke?
about Brushstroke's work. I'm going, he'd probably been fucking doing this for years, and then they pointed out they'd only started painting like 5 or 6 years ago. So I think it was Hero Quest. They'd done a new Hero Quest model, one of Boris's, and compared it to one of the original Hero Quest. And it's like, that's 20 years old. And he went, I only started painting 5 years ago. So
I think he was one of the first we talked about with his diorama with his blood angel pushing through the door.
yes,
I vividly remember this one.
So he's been working on these for a little while, different chapters.
Holy
sort of blitzing through them.
smokes! Is that freehand, or is that a transfer?
No, that's it's molded on. So he's just had to highlight up the mold. He's not that good. Don't give him airs and graces now. He's not freehanding whole metallic things on his stuff. No, don't set him up on a pedestal. We'll just have to knock him down. Just saying.
Why not? Knocking down things is nice. Holy smokes! Cheers, everybody.
Sludger. But yeah, this is it's a quite nice little set. There's Brushstroke and then there's Juan Hidalgo, who are both doing sort of, here's a Marine chapter a week type of thing, or here's a Age of Sigmar Space Marine every other week. And they're quite nice to visit to see what they're doing and how they're doing it, especially the black. That black when you look at it.
It's
He's mostly just gone for the single sort of grey edge highlight. I think there's a second thinner grey in some areas, like the knee pads, that sort of thing. But he shows you don't have to go overboard. Although if I was not a great painter and I was painting black, dry brush of a medium blue, like a magic blue, looks great over black. And then you just hit it with a black wash to bring your recesses back down. And it's much simpler. But if you're pushing yourself, edge highlight grey is the way to go.
the amount of steady hand that is necessary for this edge highlighting is insane.
It is, but you can use the side of the brush. Don't use the tip.
Yeah,
I imagine he's not.
I know the theory, but I also know the practice is a bit more difficult.
The trick is when you're painting and you put paint on the tip of your brush, don't go straight to your miniature. Get like a piece of paper towel and then wick some of the paint off, because the main problem you run into is you go, I've got paint on my brush, now I'm going to put paint on the model. Whereas if you go, I've got paint on my brush, draw it across your paper towel, you bring the point back and you take the excess off, and then that means when you go to your miniature, the paint is applied to the area you want it to apply to. Yep. See, I can paint, I just choose not to.
There are some edge highlights where you just can't use anything but the tip.
Yeah.
Those are the things that really stress me out. The simple edge of a, let's say, an armory or something, that isn't that difficult. But just look at the backpack where there's this crack, and there he did edge highlighting. And that would be something I would tend to ruin, and therefore I don't even try.
There are two ways to do it. You either push yourself to get to that level, or if you don't want / can't get to that level, there are ways and means. So, for example, to do that, I would go in, if you can scroll up, I think you'll see there. Yeah, so you go in with your grey highlight, and then you can either go in with a pencil or a black fine liner marker or an ink, and then reline the black. And you can see there's a very noticeable darkness on the left-hand side of that outer edge. Can you put your mouse on the screen there?
Yeah.
Because I'm drawing on mine in pencil and people can't see where my pencil mark is. Yeah. So you can see there's a noticeably darker line there just to the left of the grey. So that tells me he's done a grey line and then he's gone back in and tidied it up a bit. So it depends how much time you want to spend on a model. If you're doing a one-off like he is, where he's doing like one of every chapter and painting them up very nicely, then go back in, fix up, neaten up, tidy up. Great. If you can't be arsed, gloss varnish and pin wash the shit out of it with oil. Oil is your friend.
I think that's the main problem.
Be a man brazen a pint. He's a boy. You are a fucking legend. You are correct. I'm not saying Greystoke is not going to get a golden button before you, but I'm going to say for that comment you may get a golden button before him. Or maybe I'll be cheeky and give you both a golden button on the same day to stop you fighting.
Or just a honorable mention. Weirdest comment of the show.
Oh no, because that's not weird. That's perfectly in keeping with the hobby hangout.
The arrow on his right shoulder, I think I would say that is a transfer.
I think that's free-handed. But if you go to his face...
No, just if you look closer, there is stepping in it. That's not free-handed.
How closer can you get? Oh, yes. You see what you mean? From a printer?
I would say yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, then that's even worse then. He's fly-by-night artist. He can't do it in one go. He's got to go back in and fix it up. And then when he's doing details, he's using transfers. What a cunt. What a guy.
The eagle on the other's shoulder pad is a transfer too, so... Yeah. But
that's a Raven guide, so I know they do transfers for that.
Just as you said, it's the differentiation between is it a one-off or is it an army project, and that's my main problem. I see these one-offs and think, oh god, how beautiful would an army of these look like, not recognizing how many hours that will suck up.
I like all the rebar he's done.
Oh, that's rebar. I thought those were spaghetti.
Yeah, I mean, it's very curly rebar. Clearly somebody's gone in at some point and twisted them all so that children don't run into them and poke their eye out.
Oh, that's very comforting.
Yeah.
Nice of them.
Space Marines, they do an awful lot of work for the community and for charity. It doesn't get talked about.
Space Marines for the NHS.
Well, get a weathering pencil set and let me know what it's like, guys, because I looked at it and went, I can't see what it does that would make me want to own it. I'm not saying it doesn't have a purpose, but it's like the oil liners they do, which just look like eyebrow sort of thing. It's pre-mixed, yes, great, you can just put it straight on, but I don't mind going ahead when I'm painting lines with oil, just watering down oil, So I don't know if it's a quality of life thing with the pencil set, or if genuinely there are techniques you could do with it that are easier or quicker that you couldn't just do with pastels. So.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between. Well, we aren't at 2 hours yet, but I think we have exhausted. At least I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted.
I'm still a tiny bit.
Tiny bit pissed. A hero quest.
Yes.
Right.
Not a hero quest. At Hasbro in particular.
Well, cheer you up if we just looked at all the people raging about Batman, Gotham City Nightmare, whatever the fuck it's called, the RPG.
Oh no, not really. I think we should incorporate some weird rant section for the coming things, if there's any noticeable thing that is worthy of our attention and ranting.
No, time will tell.
So
I'm sure there is.
Things like when FFG is delivering things to one country and not another, or something like that.
Oh yeah, like when they send all the Star Wars to Germany and nowhere else. It's not because they don't want it to be invaded. Because you don't do that anymore, really.
No,
You've been very good this past.
But it's all part of the plan, is
years. It? Well done, you.
We are slowly wearing your what is it called? Your suspicion of, and at that moment where everybody thinks we're the goodies.
Oh right.
Hello.
It's like that,
it's like in The Simpsons.
About 2 minutes after Putin resurrects fucking Stalin and Lenin, all of a sudden fucking Hitler will come out of retirement.
On a dinosaur, nonetheless. From the center of the earth. Transported by a flying saucer.
It's a way to do it. Sarah Palin was there. She was good.
Oh, what? Now I remember the one thing I always wanted to ask Chet.
Oh, Doug. Oh, you didn't order something from Wayland.
Who did what? Oh no.
Oh dear. Oh, Waylaid Games. Yeah, mate. I ordered something. I ordered second edition Flames of War from them, and after 9 months, when my friend was talking to me about starting Flames of War, I remembered I'd ordered it, and had to go back to them and email them to find out where the fuck my stuff was. That was on like a 5-day wait because they were just waiting on shit coming in. Wayland are beyond balls. You're better finding anybody else. See if you've got like a junkie who lives down an alleyway behind a supermarket near you, and he tells you he will definitely be able to supply you with whatever you want for Tiny Fighting Men. You're more likely to get it from that fucking crackhead than you are from Waylaid Games.
That's
10 days is nothing, mate. Fucking 8 to 9 months before I got that shit, and that was only because I remembered and then started emailing them going, where the fuck is my stuff? I'm fairly certain if I hadn't emailed them, they just would have went, quid's in, there's 200 quid in our pocket, and we don't have to fucking send them anything. They are cunts.
Crackhead Miniature Company, there's a slogan you need to copyright. But what I was going to say, there is a feature.
There's meth.
Yes,
it's in their madness.
There's a feature on Twitch where you can watch a movie together via the medium of Amazon Prime.
All right, okay.
And
there are some fantastic movies on Amazon Prime, I'm just saying.
There's two things that are restricting this to a degree. One, the subscribers of the channel who is hosting the watch along need to be Amazon Prime members too. It's one thing. And the other thing is the video, movie, series, whatever you're watching must be available in every of those countries where they're watching from.
Right.
if we would be watching a movie that isn't available in the UK, you wouldn't be able to join. But I think this is something I would like to take a closer look at some point in the future and do some sort of hobby-related video watch-along, if we can find something on Amazon Prime.
Bear with me, because there's a fucking winner. I just need to find what it is. Is it Warriors? It's fucking amazingly bad. I mean, it's amazing, and it's bad that you don't know about it. That's my excuse. We're gonna go with.
I'm genuinely scared right now.
Oh, you should be. You should be. Surely there's something that tells me what I've watched, because what I've watched on Amazon Prime is fucking terrible. No, I don't watch anything good on it. It's just all the worst things in the world. I will discover what it is. I'm pretty sure it's called something like the Princess Warrior or the Warrior Princess, and it's like shit Conan in space with. Everything about it is just turd.
But you're not talking
on
about
Amazon Prime.
But you're not talking about Barbarella or something.
No, Barbarella is amazing. This is literally called like the Princess Warrior. They've got like lightsabers. It's terrible. It's not as bad as Star Crash, where they freeze time for 3 minutes because he's the Emperor of the Universe, and that's something apparently the Emperor of the Universe can do. Fucking freeze time. Go fuck me. There is, however, and I'm going to throw this one out here because if people
Topless Chicks in Tubes, She 1984.
That sounds like a winner. Yeah, that's more or less it.
What?
Topless Chicks in Tubes, that's more or less Princess Warrior. If people haven't seen this, even if it's not something we can watch as a group, Rudy Ray Moore's Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law, is fucking amazing. Petey Wheatstraw!
I think I need to...
It's blaxploitation at its very best. It is just so good. So good.
Let's see.
You know, and he literally becomes the devil's son-in-law, and then tries to double cross the devil because devil's daughter's rough as fuck.
No,
so Petey just looks at that and goes, "I'm not hitting that. Fetch me a crackhead that I will now dress up in my clothes and bundle in the back of a car and tell the devil that's me." It's just so fucking bad.
It's not available here.
Oh,
shame.
Yeah, I feel bad for you. I will stream it for you at some point because you need to see that. I've seen it, so you need to see it.
It's possibly against some bloody rights management because...
Yeah, don't worry about that. No. Because otherwise, Discord wouldn't have a function that allowed me to stream stuff with no repercussions whatsoever. I mean, if we can't do it on Twitch, we can do it through Discord.
We can.
Petey Wheatstraw!
Well, with this, I'm going to cancel this one.
Yes, Jim, that is exactly it. Oh, hell no. Yeah, we should definitely go now. You've distracted me for half an hour.
Yes. People, thank you for being here, for keeping me company and Jerry while I was ranting about stupid people in stupid countries. I will hope to see you again next week in a better mood. Bye.